All right, well, howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Deprogram. This is our last episode
ever.
We're ending the show right now. JK, we'll be here for many years to come. God willing, Nicolas Cage willing.
No way, man. It was hard enough for me to work with a fucking Muslim, but I had to work with a fucking American. Okay, that is too much.
It's a hard pill for me to swallow too.
Yeah,
okay.
For you,
all
it's
right,
even more.
fellas.
Oh my fucking god! I'm doing my best to make this the last fucking episode.
Yeah, you sure are. We're gonna get canceled. We're gonna get pulled for hate speech against Americans.
Yeah. It helps. It helps that JT has an absolute fucking wagon.
That's true.
Exactly right. I'm not talking about that Volvo.
That is actually a great promise we should give them for 2024. More homoeroticism, okay?
Yeah,
much more. We haven't been horny enough this year, I feel like.
We can deliver that before JT can actually deliver said Volvo.
You know what? I heard from the dude. He's like, he sent some pictures of the transmissions in now. The engine's in. They're all bolted together.
Oh, fantastic.
Suspension's on. All this left
Tell
is
that
wheels and
story to
tires.
someone else who hasn't heard
He
this
said
for
a couple
times
weeks.
now.
He said a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm
All right.
fucking
Anyway, hi everybody. Welcome back to the show. It has been one hell of a year in all of our respective countries and around the world. We've got a lot of events to cover with you all as we take a quick little stroll down memory lane and look at what the year of our Lord 2023 had to offer. So, boys, where should we start? Where would you like to begin with this cursed year that was 2023?
Well, let's begin with the Hakeem tired meter. How about that?
Yes.
Place your bets. Is Hakeem tired?
Yes.
I'm fucking tired. Yes. Yeah, it is. You're right. You're very right. Let's begin with arguably the most historically relevant or the big thing that's actually going to carry over into the next year and then couple of years will have reverberating effects over the general geopolitical situation of the decade, which is I don't know if you'd call it a crisis in Palestine. It depends on if you're looking just at the humanitarian situation, but arguably it's also is the crisis for Israel because of what had happened. For whoever's listening to this in like 2027, first of all, hi, at us if you are. Why are you listening this far back? And how are we doing? Inshallah, well. But
sure is a shame you Gopnik died in 2026.
Stop it along.
You son of a bitch. I am taking you with me, motherfucker. I am the gram in the program. Okay, it's going to be Depro.
Right. Why do you say the ground? I want to make a joke about you doing drugs.
I was literally serving it to you on a platter, just how I would serve your fucking Coke, okay?
Dude. All right. Anyways, for those who, on October 7th of 2023, various factions of Palestinian resistance launched a attack outside of the borders of Gaza, which at the time, hopefully it is no longer in this particular future, but currently at the time is the largest open-air concentration camp on Earth, where the illegal settler colonial military occupation controls everything going in and out. They basically have AI-generated maps of sectors that they can bomb and exact details of how many civilians it would kill. They have even counted down to calories per person, and they limit supplies going into it to prevent people from eating at a caloric surplus. It's that fucked up. Yeah. Amongst many, many other things. You can't build anything. You can't repair anything. You can't go in or out of the area without explicit permission of,
sniping people in hospitals, running over people in tents with bulldozers. It's literally the worst possible thing you can imagine is happening right now.
Exactly right. Regardless, after this massive security failure of the illegal settler colonial entity, there was a massive reaction at the time, which is currently ongoing, which took the form of heavy military bombardment and then subsequently invasion of the Gaza Strip, which so far has resulted in the deaths of 20,000 people, the vast majority of these being women and children.
70%, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
right.
like 52. It's fucking 70.
Clear signs of what's it called? Dedicated ethnic cleansing, genocidal statements with proven intent to genocide and ethnically cleanse the Palestinian population.
And this isn't communist Muslim protecting his UN. Okay, the fucking UN. We talk shit about the UN all the time. The UN, who is always so fucking conservative with this shit, has confirmed absolutely all of these definitions for this particular fucking massacre.
Every Amnesty International has come out, the UN has come out, World Health Organization, for fuck's sake, has come out. And then you have the like random Israeli accounts on Twitter calling them a Hamas wing or something.
Jesus Christ.
Get a fucking grip. But anyways, let's not focus on that, on the humanitarian cost, even though it is incredibly dear. The socio-economic and geopolitical results of this action have been mind-bending. This is something that has never happened before. Let's just enumerate a few. The first thing that occurred was the stopping of the Abraham Accords, which was a general plan to normalize between Israel and all the various nations around it, particularly Saudi Arabia and a bunch of other ones which are less significant. Saudi Arabia is the biggest one. And this stopped this dead in its tracks, which was a huge victory for the Palestinian cause. Secondarily, and more importantly, the idea of, the IDF's military invisibility and all that nonsense has been completely shattered. Currently, in their invasion of Gaza, the IDF is getting their shit kicked in.
Absolutely bodied. Ridiculous.
And it's not, but this is not a pure nation with an air force and standard logistics. These are people who are, besieged, who have essentially very little resources to carry out resistance, but they're carrying out one regardless. Even recently, I believe the past couple of weeks, it was like 6 to 8 IDF dead each day, roughly. Now we're going to 10 to 12 territory. These are unsustainable losses for a very small nation otherwise.
Not to mention all the armor, like all the tanks and stuff that are getting wrecked.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. Israel is heavily over-reliant on basically trying to have a technological edge. So the best of American minds basically producing fighter jets and tanks and whatever else, feeding the Israeli military machine. And their over-reliance on technology causes them to be incredibly weak and ineffectual fighters and themselves, particularly infantry. Aside from the fact that the vast majority of them are cowards who've only ever acted as glorified policemen, harassing old ladies and arresting children. But then when they go and actually meet any sort of real resistance, these people don't want to. The vast majority of these people also reservists within the IDF. These people are not properly military trained for this kind of combat, and the vast majority of them don't want to be there. They don't have an ideological belief in this. The only reason they even enter is because they believe they have overwhelming technological superiority, but it's clearly not helping them. So the losses, just in manpower-wise, are extensive, but much more importantly is the economic damage. It's costing Israel hundreds of millions every single day just to keep this war going. They have seen a massive scaling down of their economic standing just in general because, number one, it has been proven that the country is a security risk. So investing in it is a silly idea, and anybody who has any business in there who is insured, their insurance premiums have just doubled, tripled, quadrupled, went up a fucking 1,000%. Because why do you have business in this country? It's clearly it's not safe to have it right there. Things like this, their loss of armor and a bunch of other stuff like that. Like for each tank is like $5 million at the minimum, and they're getting like, I don't know if you guys keep up with the videos, but every single day there's a new video coming out, and there's like six hits like confirmed. Right, not each single one of them destroys the tank, but either renders it immobile or heavily damages it. These are all things that require lots of money to correct and fix. Yeah, it's still a casualty. Plus, you have to get it out of there, for God's sake. And to get it out of there, it makes the people who are taking it out very vulnerable for attack, etc., incredibly expensive. Furthermore, there is massive economic decline because all these reservists were working real jobs before, and now they're taking out of that employment. Another thing is that settlers and various populations have been moved towards the interior of the country from the borders, from the northern border, for example, away from Gaza as well. And these people all used to work jobs, had employment, farms, etc. that are now economically unproductive. Not only are they economically unproductive, but the Israeli government has to pay for their hotels and food and everything else when they're, internally displaced. So that's incredibly expensive for the Israeli government too. Settlers have also fled the country. There's hundreds of thousands that have flown out of Israel and went back to wherever countries that that they have dual citizenship in, most of them being Americans. And there's a common belief now that a lot of these people will not be coming back because of just how disruptive this was to their lives. Much more importantly than all this is also the pariah state status of Israel. Inshallah, by the time that whoever is listening to this in the far future, this will be way clearer to you. But currently, various countries have cut diplomatic relations, or threatened to at least. Many countries have started to outright call for, a ceasefire. Israel has went way overboard with the things that they've committed in their military operations.
You can't
some
clean
people are
this
even,
up,
Yeah. Some people are even claiming and using terms like, this is ethnic cleansing. The conversation around a Palestinian state is alive again when it's been dead for like 20 years. This is all like just as a result of the war. Much more importantly, on the home front, though, is a complete collapse of the political organization of the Israeli state. They are incredibly turned inwards and against each other about what should be done. There is a lot of blood, like calling for blood. Something like 83% of the Israeli population thinks that the amount of violence used in Gaza is either proportionate or deserves to increase. It should be even more, which reflects a very sick, thoroughly sick society. More importantly, though, is that Netanyahu's government, which, by the way, what's his Polish last name? Trying to indigenize this nonsense. Hold on. Yeah. Anyways, he has an incredibly Polish, like Krakowski-ass sounding name. Anyways. So this guy, he's a done deal politically. He's falling in the flames, and everybody doesn't want to touch him with a fucking 20-foot pole because they know that if they join with him, then he's going down. So they're gonna go down with him. Number one. Number two, the various factions of the government that are even more extreme than him are threatening to basically get rid of him because he's not going far enough. Right, so it's on all sides. There's differing opinions. Some horrible, some slightly better, but all still nonetheless garbage. Yeah. There are massive protests in Israel because the hostage status, the hostages that were taken by the Palestinian forces or the resistance, none of them have been found or saved, quote unquote. In fact, the three of them that did manage to kind of get out and escape were shot by the IDF. So it's a huge mess. But the political and geostrategic and geopolitical reverberations of this will really shape the region, and also like this human rights discourse and democracy discourse, this shit that the Europeans and the Americans hold over the heads of other countries, as if they have some monopoly over it. All this is fucking dead,
totally.
and
in the water. Yeah,
exactly right. So it's a very, very interesting development that we're seeing. Who knows where we'll go? Most likely, Israel will run out of steam soon because the mounting political pressure is getting way too high. Each week that goes by, it's like you cannot be killing people indiscriminately like this without the international community eventually coming and doing something. And they've already been given 1,000 slacks. You know what I'm trying to say. A lot of slack is my point in what they've been allowed to get away with, because they have the covering of the United States, which vetoed the ceasefire directive in the UN, which would have immediately put in place a humanitarian ceasefire, a ceasefire to stop the fighting and try to get people to diplomacy and whatnot. But the United States stopped that, and they're the ones who are running defense for this illegal set of colonial occupation. It will be dead and replaced by a egalitarian and democratic nation with equal rights for all Jewish, Palestinian, and everybody else in between. If it doesn't happen a year or 5 or 10, it's gonna happen 25 or 30 or 100, but it will eventually happen. But yeah, that's my general overview of the Palestinian events.
Hello, dear listener. Editor JT here. This has been a little sneak peek of one of our monthly exclusive Patreon episodes. If you want to hear the rest, support the show, get episodes a week early, and lots of other benefits like access to our Discord, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/thedeprogram.